working with the ZL lines in the MacKeeper. I'm sure many of you who have a Mac heard about this product. Some of you hate it because of the advertising. Some of you love it because of functionality. But I will be ready to discuss and talk with every one of you who would like to share his experience. I will tell you more in my presentation, and I'm sure maybe you will understand why everything happens in this way. So, briefly about myself, I'm Ray, as I mentioned. I'm working in the IT over 10 years. 7 of them are working for the MacKeeper. Previously, that was the Lviv, then ChromeTech. It is still the ChromeTech, but the ChromeTech now is a part of the ZL Alliance. As mentioned, I was starting my work in the MacKeeper as a customer support, and that was a big experience to understand what customers really think, how they act, and what they need. And I will tell you for sure, until you try their own skin on your, it will be hard to understand what they really want. During this presentation, I will kindly ask you about one thing. I'm trying to do my best and to make this interesting for you. And what is more important, I really think that every product manager who likes this product, most times is passionate, and sometimes even might be strange. So, please, everyone here in the audience, raise your one hand, like this. Come on, everyone. Perfect. If you think that I'm talking very fast, raise your hand. Because I'm very passionate and usually just rushing all the time, every time. Good. Okay, so here's a photo of our office. I'm from ZL Alliance. It's over 105,000 people involved in the whole projects and all products of the ZL Alliance. And I'm really proud to be here as a part of MacKeeper, but still as a part of the ZL Alliance. We have different products in our portfolio from different companies which are into the ZL Alliance. Here I will show you the biggest. We have tons of R&D products as well, which are just starting their life. So it's a MacKeeper, I'm from there. It is a PC keeper for the PC. It's a cloud on cloud, the CRM solution we have. Zoom support, that's a service. I'm sure if you live in Lviv or in the western part of Ukraine, maybe you heard about this company. That's ours as well. Droid Keeper, that's one of the biggest cleaning things for the Android device. And the apps, well, it's something you'll see more. Also, we have a new game, it's our new project. We created the City Builder, we're working on it right now. And the hardware startup. If you're visiting the ZL Alliance Facebook page, you see we just added a new startup called DM. You might Google it and see if you like it or not. So, the most common question you might face on the internet is what marketing guys and product guys think is right. What is more important, in most cases, they are wrong. Because you, from perspective of the specialists which deals with your product every single fucking day, sometimes it is hard to realize and understand what you have and what your customers really need. So main questions here is, do you really think that you hear your customer? Who think? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, less than 2%. Perfect. I guess maybe that would help you a bit more. So, today we're going to discuss a round of things. I will try to share my knowledge and give you not just the philosophical view about what can be done with the customer, but some of the instruments and ways of the approach. So, I will tell you a bit more, like the day before tomorrow, what was yesterday, what's going to be tomorrow, or now. I will tell you more about what was the first MacKeeper, how it appeared, what was inside the software. I will give you more information about how we managed to see the problems we had and deal with them. I'll tell you about the customer and show you what customer really needs. It's not the fact that you really know that. To show you the results which were achieved with work of the customer. I will tell you about my personal methodology called ALDR and tell you a bit more about how right now the MacKeeper team and the ChromeTech actually works with their development team, like the product team and the development team. I'll tell you more about this. And as well, as usual, I will give you the key takeaways from today. I'm sure that you will find them useful. If not, raise your hand. We can chit chat and I can discuss and give you something from my personal experience, like face to face. Okay, so a long time ago, approximately in 2000, Lviv Polytechnic Institute, there was ex-students. They founded the Blue Ocean. Who knows what is Blue Ocean? Okay, the Blue Ocean is a niche where no one's already in. So it's like a brand new market which you can fill. They found this ocean that was a Mac bundle software. So on that period of time, there were no bundle solutions for the Mac. There were like cleaning tool, optimization tool, duplicates finder, and other stuff. At that period, those guys were the first to realize that and created the bundle, first worldwide bundle on the market. But that was kinda complicated. So we really created products. We decided to do it for good and show how important it is to make sure that your computer is safe, is okay, is protected. For some reason, we were not thinking about, is it okay or not for the customer?
So I would tell you a real story. I was working in the customer support department for like 6 months. So I was experienced customer support, but I don't. By the way, I can still remember, hello, my name is Ray from customer support department. How can I assist you today? And other stuff, yeah. So, real story. One time, the customer called me. Well, they called me a lot, but for now, I will tell you about one specific case. There was a woman who had our product. She was like 55, 60 years old. And first 20 minutes, I heard like in my headset. That was kind of hard to understand it, to hear that she was not just annoyed. I felt like a hatred there in this call. She really hated what she saw. And the thing is, in that period of time, I managed to calm her down somehow, and we started having a chit-chat. And she told me how many different things she hates about MacKeeper. You know, from the guy who works in the customer support and who likes and adores his products, I was quite surprised. There was so many different minor stuff which customers doesn't like, which we never saw. So I started digging a bit deeper and realized that's happening not just with me. That happens a few times on my shift just during this one specific shift. Later on, I realized that we have those problems along the software, along the cases, and we realized that, well, we need to gather them more and to realize how many of them, and we saw that there are a lot. So we conducted a report, the big one, and sent it to our C-level. The work takes a while, but that customer has been heard. I will tell you a bit more. So after that, when our C-level realized that something went wrong and we should do something, we decided to do a few steps. We decided to go to our customers because, from my perspective, that is one of the most important things you should do as a product manager. Never think that your idea is great until you hear that from the customer or from your potential user. We decided to think like a customer, act like a customer, and what is more important, be a customer ourselves. Because, you know, if you work in customer support, you'll never buy MacKeeper, you have it. But in our case, if you decided to understand if it's okay or not, you should go through the whole process. And we arrange different types of connectivity with the customers to see if they like it or not, to talk with them and to understand it a bit more. You can do this in different ways. As you see here, you can talk with them through the feedback forms, through the surveys, like Survey Gizmo or Survey Monkey. That's actually interesting stuff. You can use it almost for free. There is a free possibility with a limited number of connections. We have our live chat. That's one of the features of the MacKeeper. It was our in-house solution, and we interviewed our customers through that as well. We use tons of emails just to send it directly to our customers, making sure that all of them are getting that. So we later on I'll show you the statistic. That's just the emails which were received and answered. We're able to, our product managers and marketing guys decided to go to the customer support department, sit near the agent, and if they heard that the customer loyal, he liked it, he has time for the conversation, they took the headset and decided to talk with the customer. We use the pre-arranged Skype calls with our most loyal customers to understand what they like and what they don't about the software. Online meetings, offline meetings. We arranged a lot of meetings offline with our customers and ex-customers and even non-customers. Those from you who really do not have the MacKeeper and hate our advertising might get in those categories as well. So, and we did a few on-site events to gather all the customers so they can make a community and talk a bit more to each other and with us, of course. Who knows what is this movie? 1, 2, 3, 4. Lads, I knew that. So, if you don't, this interesting person, Mel Gibson, he have a lot of movies in his portfolio. This, from my perspective, is not the one who gave him the lot of money, but that is the one who gave him really popularity among women. It's about becoming a customer. In the story, he is a marketing guy who working on the women's accessories, and he tried to sell them somehow, create an advertising, not even using it. What I wish to tell you, and what is very important in the work of the product management, you could not freaking create a product you don't use, you don't know, you did not even try. That is, sometimes you should do like that. If I were him, I will do the same. You should act like your customer. Sometimes your customers can be like boring, really. They just don't know what they want, really. I'm sure you're facing with this from time to time. They just bought and they don't know why. Sometimes you need to help them to understand that. And what is more important, to understand why they don't know, why they doesn't show that. You should be the customers yourself. So we had thinking the deep knowledge that our customers, his users, our main target audience is a male, he's 46 plus, he has a Mac computer, and he's very busy to do something on his Mac, or he just does not want to do anything. And that is why he's getting the MacKeeper. That was in the very beginning. Interesting fact that user did the following. He get the software somehow through the ads, through the search in different ways. He doesn't like it because it was complicated, as I showed you before. And later on, he just removes it. So we fuck, why? We decided to dig a bit, So we decided to dig a bit deeper. What we just did, as you see, the digits are quite big. We sent over 1 million emails. You might think, well, that's too little number but that is 1 million replied emails. So we get the 1 million replies just from the emails. We have a huge database. We completed over 85,000 questionnaires, feedback forms from our loyal customers or just customers. Even more from the non-customers. Almost 300 hours of audio interviews were recorded. 600 chat sessions, by the way, it's not too much, it might be bigger, was done. And we did over 50 face-to-face interviews. And what we realized, that maybe our customer is not 46 plus, but he's 60 plus. It's still 65% male. And those guys installing the MacKeeper because they really have some sort of a problem. What is more important? That those type of people, they feel creeping uncomfortable asking for help or showing that they don't know something. And for that reason, the path was the following. Customer was getting the software. He opens it and see oh damn, it's hard, it's complicated. But he still has a problem. And then he realized, well, I should call or I should write a chat and they will think I'm a dumb. No, how about no? And they simply removed the software. And that was actually the problem, which we never realized, never see until we really decided to talk with the customer. So, at the very beginning, the MacKeeper was actually the same. It was a complicated, non-user-friendly interface, which was actually doing many different stuff for the customers who understood how that was or managed to get in touch with our support guys. Second generation, it was released a few years after. It was actually the same UI, almost. It was minority changes. But what is more important, it was fixed under the hood. So customers does not see the difference, but we were saying, well, it's working 20% faster. No one gives a shit, really. And what is more important, the third generation of the MacKeeper, this one. We realized the problem and we decided and found the way how that can be fixed. So, sometimes another message and takeaway from today's is customers usually does not know what they need. And the main job of the product manager is to realize, to get those seeds, to understand what they really need. Because they might say, I want a fast computer, I want it to be cleaned, but in fact they just don't need, they want their Mac to be running like everyone else's Mac, for instance. So they know that his neighbors has a Mac and he's fast and mine is sluggish. What the fuck? No. You need to understand the difference. If you don't really get the possibility and to dig deeper and to realize what customer needs, you can see that. So what we realized is the customers in our case needs three main things. First, customers does not want to call someone, write someone, or ask for help. So what his real need, even when he needs the help, he wished to be helped before he asked for that. Second thing is easy to use product or clear explanations how to use it. During our surveys, it was a very interesting correlation. So some of our customers says the product is complicated. Another says the products are not well explained. Someone might think, well, but that's quite similar. In fact, it is not. So if you well explain even the hard software, UI, UX cases, that would work. And the third thing is customers need help with different things from technical world. So we had a service called Geek on Demand. There was a bunch of geeks who answering the non-Mac related questions, but the thing is they were not answering everything. After we realized that, we started helping with everything, starting your Mac and ending your fridge, really. So what did we get? As a result of release of third generation of the MacKeeper, we significantly increased our sales, so they really grow, because customer was simply guided from the very beginning when he opened the software for the first time and think, wow, that's kind of hard, till the very end when we realized that he realized that it is not that hard, it's very easy. He got explained, he got everything on board, so he's ready. We increased NPS, that's a Net Promoter Score, like 3 times. Who knows what is NPS? Good. For everyone else, NPS is a score, like if I say like that briefly, how possible that you would recommend this thing, software, service, or person to someone from 1 to 10. So if sometimes it's negative, then you have a bad stuff doing. Sometimes it's positive, then you are being recommended, and that's good. Average customer support satisfaction rate now is 4.8 out of 5. The thing is, it was 1.6 in 2011 when we released MacKeeper 0.1. Retention rate for subscribers, because MacKeeper is a subscription-based product, it's doubled in the last 2 years. Interesting thing to know that sometimes that can be doubled not because of you're doing something with the software, you're showing the new features, new designs or other. Maybe sometimes it can be doubled just because of the way the customer was interacted with, how quick was the response, and how quality was the response during the questions. I myself conducted research about that, and I realized that 67% of the customers would say that they will continue the subscription if their question in the phone or in the live chat was answered within the first 15 seconds. In most cases, our reply time, if the agents are working properly, no shit happening or it's not a new year, approximately 5 to 7 seconds. So, number of returns. So when someone's saying, I don't like your product, give my money back, it decreased in 40%. It's quite a huge as well, especially when you have a big product and there is a big volumes. And after that, once we released the product with this feature called Human Insight, we have many mentions on the famous blogs, websites, and different stuff. You can find tons of positive feedbacks about us over there. You can find tons of negative feedbacks on the YouTube or, for instance, on the Google, but that depends on if you're our customers or if you're not. Because, interesting fact, 98% of our customers glad with the service. So if you see the hate on the web, mostly that is not our customers, and that's our fault, that's advertising. So, one more interesting case about what customer really needs. We had an innovative in that period of time service called Track My Mac. I'm sorry, not Anti-Theft. That was a service in the MacKeeper. How that works. The customer could mark his Mac as stolen, and the Mac will send the report with the IP addresses and other stuff to his account with a snapshot of a thief. You could ask, well, there is such a feature in the Mac. Why should I use it? The main difference there was the snapshots, because Mac does not take a snapshot of a thief. He just shows your location, by the way, geolocation, which is not very precise usually, because if that might be like a very high building, you should realize where is the laptop. That's going to be hard. So our point of difference with our competitors was making the snapshots and showing the owner of the stolen Mac the snapshot of a thief. We have tons of stories which shows that using those snapshots, the police and the guys who own the Mac managed to get their devices back. But at what period of time we realized and heard from our customers that it is so inconvenient if my Mac gets stolen, get to your account all the time, the MacKeeper account, through my phone or through my other computer, and wait and look for the report, refresh them, and wait until someone will say, hey, here is your Mac, go there. So we decided to dig a bit deeper. We conducted the research and realized that actually the best solution customer really needs is just the software on their phones, the Android or iOS, who can do that for them. So they can go to the application, click on my Mac was stolen, and after that, that's it. If they get a report, they get an instant notification on the phone, so they don't need to log in somewhere or wait for something. That sounds obvious, but we're not understanding that for a year or even years. What is more important, as a result, we created a perfect application, very friendly UI. You know, if you have an iOS and a Mac, you can try to use it. It's a part, you can use it without the MacKeeper, so you need MacKeeper installed, but you don't need it to be bought. It doesn't need to be bought, but it's very interesting in usage, very easy. But what is more important, we have tons of feedbacks on the App Store and with the high ratings, knowing that, I heard that by the way just today, and that is interesting to discuss, that guys from Germany, from Italy, from France, and a few other countries in Europe use this thing as a parental control. So they like, did you do your homework? The guy saying, no, I don't, block the computer. That's it. And they're just calling the moms or something, Mom, I did my homework. Okay, unblock. That's it. So that's quite interesting, and that's quite easy, and that's quite usable in the way you never expected. So, I mentioned to you about ALDR, like methodology I use. It consists from 4 types, as you see. Ask. You should always be ready to ask hard questions about your product. For instance, I can ask everyone in this auditory and listen to this and make the conclusions why you might hate our products. It can be started with the guys who never used it or saw it. It can be ended with our competitors or our partners in the fields like MacPaw. Guys, hello, I know you're here. They actually, we are working in the same area, so sometimes we might compete in different things, but we don't, because we're looking for in the different directions. So be ready to ask the hard questions, like really, really hard. It is very important to understand that you should not get to your customer to ask, would you like to be us to be more good? That's not the way. Be ready to ask harsh questions, really. You should be straight as fuck. Okay, listen. You should always be ready to listen for the customer and to hear what is more important, what he's saying. It is not enough to hear that customers saying, I don't like your usability. It is hard. You're like, oh yeah, we'll fix this, and forget. No. You need to realize that it's not about the listening of the customer. It's about the hearing what he's really saying. And that is the other thing, almost final, do. Sometimes the customers might ask you about creeping strange things. I know that myself. I interviewed a lot of them, and sometimes that the things they asked is ridiculous, really. Like, create a specific device for my cat for anti-theft. Yeah, we will do this, right? Or something like that. Another interesting stuff, we have the request for Geek on Demand guys to come and to help to get their kid, like Kitty from the tree, right, sorry. There are always 2 ways in understanding what you should do with your customer. First, you always have some sort of a strategy for your product. You realize what you're going to do and in what direction you're going. So, first thing, if you hear something from your user, from your customer, that correlates with your plan, do that fast. Because if you do, customer is satisfied, you have something you plan to do in advance, and what is more important, from my experience, in most cases, that is something innovative, because customers usually asking about two things, or two ways. They're asking about something that they had or saw on the competitor level, so with your competitors or other softwares, or the second, they trying to create something new, some idea they really think they would need, and sometimes those ideas and those things might be useful for others. And the thing is, if it doesn't correlate with your plan, strategy, and goals, but that might be useful, still consider it, because you never know where your business goes. As you may understand, every product has its specific life cycle. So when you start doing some product, it's going like this. But at a specific period of time, it starts falling. It is very hard to make sure it's raising back. In this case, those things you might consider can help you to maintain the product or company in the different ways. Because if you're good in something, in one thing, there is always a chance that something might happen. The market might be closed. The strong competitor might arrive, and your business is at risk. So try not to keep all the eggs in one basket. And letter R, repeat. Do that again and again and again. That's quite easy. That is the easiest thing you can do is ask, listen, do, and repeat. Okay, let's move on. I mentioned that I will tell you a bit more about how product developers works in our country and in our company. I worked in different companies, and I helped in different projects as an independent consultant. And over here you might see approximately how most product developers and developers works, like engineers. They sit in different rooms, sometimes in different countries. Sometimes if they're at the same building, they're sitting in the very end, like in absolutely reverse directions. They usually doesn't talk with each other. They doesn't go for a beer or something like that. They doesn't have something in common, and they doesn't know and give a fuck what's happening on the other side. And that is how we work. That is a real photo from our office, as I mentioned. So, what I implemented like a year ago with our MacKeeper team. Our developers, by force, were moved to the rooms for the product managers. They didn't like it at the first 10 days, or even 2 months. Okay, I'll be honest. So, once it was done, I was forced to move to the business trip for 1 month over Europe and over the world. And once I returned, our main developer, like CTO or something, it's not CTO, but he actually CTO, he asked me for the talk and said, hey man, I had a huge of complaints from those team leads from the different teams on this situation. We need to talk. I said, okay. I had no time at this period, so we decided to meet in 2 weeks. We did that. He came with 3 of those team leads and me. And they wrote the number of complaints they have. And I was sitting and listening. Usually it's not my style. I'm usually trying to interrupt and rushing somewhere. So I listened to them very carefully. And after that I said, when you did this list? They said, well, we did it on the 3rd day. I said, okay. How would you say? How many points or bullets from this list are still like interrupting your job or doing something wrong? There was 5 points. None. In 1.5 months, developers understood what products do. Products start sharing the information and the results of the developers' work, and everyone started understanding what is happening on the product. So if we have something version which like wins us a lot, that is actually awesome. But developers never knew that, and that is why they felt like untreated or something like that. They didn't know that their job really matters, and that is the common problem in the IT world. Share the knowledge, share the results. Your developers should know that, because if they do, they are highly motivated to do something more, to go an extra mile. Like the methodology of extra mile is very important here at the Zero Alliance, so I really adore it. Okay, let's go on. Let's try to end this with a few takeaways I'd like you to have. You know that 90% of startups fails? Who have a startup? That's the number of lucky guys from those 10. I hope so. So, do you know why? That is why 55% of failed startups creating the startup who doesn't need it by anyone. Guys simply does not need what you do. That does not need the mechanical hand to take the kit out of the tree or something, and doesn't need other stuff. Another 20%, I just remember that, they fail because not the customers doesn't need that, but the market already is very red. So it means there are many competitors on it. So actually 75% of failed startup can be prevented just because of knowing what your customers want really, or does he really want your stuff, or is your market highly compatible, or what you're going to do with this competition. Okay, as I mentioned before, make sure your user needs what you offer. Not you, not your grandma, not your cat, just your user, and not just one person. Look for different. What is more important? In product management for the MacKeeper, we're very excited to work with the user insights. How that works? That's not a tool, that's more like a term. How user insights works? You just see the competitors or the stuff you wish to do and go to the web, just searching the forums, then different comments, the Apple websites if you go into the Mac or something, and looking for the feedbacks. Sometimes you might understand that the product you're even thinking about is already hated by the people. There's already something which people hate and they doesn't like it, they doesn't want it to be. For instance, how many of you used at least once in your life the parental control tool? None. Few. Okay. Once I was searching the web for the parental control. We was interested in that niche at one period, not anymore. We found it interesting stuff. The guy who grown up, so he's like 25 years old, can recall the period when he was a kid and his mother used the software for parental control to block his possibility to use the internet. Do you know what he said? Her mother and this freaking software ruined his life. Because he thinks that if he would visit the internet more, he would have more friends, it would not be this lonely as now, and other stuff. Other thing is, we have a we have a story that one kid managed to use the parental control software to parental control his parents. And that's really true, because they realized that when they was not able to pay through the bank on some payments, they come to the bank and say, well, my laptop is not working, and they said, hey, you have a parental control. And that was fun. Important thing, do everything you do with passion. If you doesn't like what you do, don't do it. Really. Because if you go every day to your work, and if you go into your work just because of a salary, bonuses, or, I don't know, beautiful secretary, that's not the right way. You should but love what you do. You should do this with passion every single moment, every single time. From my perspective, the biggest problem I have in the product management is that there is only 24 hours a day. I need more, really. Even I know that all those time management stuff, it's not enough. So, don't forget about the passion. If you're not passionate about what you're doing, you better not even try to do it. Sometimes, and that is important to understand, I will say not even sometimes, but always, things are more important than what's under the hood, the things what you're doing. Why I added this slide and why I'm saying that? Saying that just because of one reason. The fact that you might be a brilliant engineer or brilliant mind on the developer's level is just 20% of success of any startup. You should have a passion, you should have an idea, and you should have a team which can conduct and deliver the great results. How awesome you wouldn't be, it would be hard if you don't have all of those. I know just a few exceptions. One of them is sitting here in this room, and he's a brilliant developer and entrepreneur. Okay, here in Zio Alliance and in actually in the MacKeeper, we have a specific way of doing business. not just the business, but the product. There is always a thing: fail fast, learn fast. I'm sure maybe you heard about this. That means if you have an idea, doesn't waste 15 weeks for analyzing it. You could try to do a little minor version of the software or of the page you like to, try it and see the results. That might freaking fail or might give you a lot. So sometimes, and in most cases, the product managers waste a lot of their time just thinking and preparing about what they're going to do. They're getting those analysis, those reports and other stuff. Sometimes just try, really. You could try that in 1 week instead of waiting for 12 to get even like information that, well, it's worth trying. Everything is legal, absolutely. That is why if you failed, that's fine. You get some outcome from that, some knowledge, and you should know that as well. By the way, we have a special product management school there in ZIO Alliance. That's a special project of ZIO, and we like trying to give all this information to young and experienced guys who would like to know and grow a lot. So for instance, this year, yesterday, we started another round of this product management school with the association with Google. So this year we have a partner, Google is our gold partner, just partner, okay? And we're doing that together, and they're giving a lot of very influential and skillful speakers as a part of their part in the school. So we have a bunch of speakers too. So what I'm saying is, there is always a place where you can know how to do your product better. Just look for them. I'm almost ended our presentation. I have two things to say. You should try yourself in full cycle products or companies. Some companies allows that, some is not, but you could try to make the outcome from that. It goes more through the lean startup, so plan, measure, learn, do. So go through this process. You can have possibility to see the results of what you're doing. If you're a developer or if you're a project manager, it's good to manage the projects. But if you know that the project you managed and like consulting or helping in some way managed to grow, to raise, to achieve some results, that would be the best thing for you. Really, nothing can motivate you better than seeing that your work matters. In the very end, I want to tell you one story or maybe a thing. From my perspective, every product you might do or you might be involved in is like a kid. You heard that from the previous guys. I heard the guys from the UX mention the same. I have just a bit other vision. How many of the audience have kids? Okay, good. So, when you grow on your kids, you see how good they're doing. You see how they're performing. They're starting knowing how to walk, how to talk, how to mumble something understandable or not understandable, and how cute they are. From my perspective, products are the same. You're creating something called MVP, minimal valuable product, and you grow in it. And you see how it changes, how it performs, and how it can be changed in the markets or because of the needs of the market. What is more important that who of you who have kids will give your kid away to someone else when he's 6 months old and know how to walk or sit? I think no one. And that is why I really think that we should invest our time and our future in product companies. Because if we're giving this, if we're trying to outsource what we're doing, if we're giving this away, that's like giving your kids away. You never see what's going to be. You never know how cool, funny, experienced, smart, or innovative he's going to be. You'll never know. You never see him anymore. That is my point. So from now on, I'm ready for questions. Come on, anyone? One, two?
Yeah, we have a question there.
Hi, actually I have a couple of questions, and one comment that outsourcing is like babysitters. And the first question is about ask, listen, do, and to repeat. There are two ways to do such things. Like one is the continuous way, like always ask, always do, always repeat, and another procedure is to do it by sprints, like 1 month ask, sometimes listen, and so on and so on. Do you do it in the continuous way or in the repeatable way? And if you are doing this in the repeatable way, how long is the sprint of the feedback? Did I explain correct?
Thank you for the question.
And I have another one after
If
that.
you don't mind, let me answer the first one. From my perspective, the ALDR is like taking food, eating. You don't eat once a month, right? Or during 1 month, it doesn't eat for another month. That should be constant, because if you don't do it like this in different ways, because the ways might be different, but the concept should be the same. Yeah. So if I were you, I would do that all the time, because that gives a lot of insights which you'll never realize.
Okay, and another question is about user insights. I was also trying to do the same, but the problem with it is that it takes a lot of time, and the success rate for me was like I was able to find something interesting like only once per three projects I started. So what is your success rate, and if it is higher than 30%, what do you do to make it higher?
It's not quite about the success rate on the user insight search. There shouldn't be any success rate, because there is no success stories. You're just getting some learning. In our perspective, to get the bunch of user insights, to really understand what user like and what he really needs, it takes a while. It's not the time of 1 hour Googling. No, it might take a week, a month sometimes. It depends on the size of the question you're trying to realize. About the methods that you have, you think that you have a small, let's call it understanding rate, understanding what exactly your customer needs. You could think about this in other way. How good you will understand your customer or your product if he doesn't do this?
I mean that there are other methods like interviewing people, like interviewing subject matter experts, look to the Gartner and blah 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 and so on and so on. So I just want to say that in my hands, this method of trying to search on forums and so on was not successful. If it was in your hands, I would like to have like hints what to do.
Right, guys, I see that you really enjoy each other. You can actually talk to
yes, we do
during the coffee break, because we have more questions in the audience, I believe. So, does anyone also have a question? Yeah, there.
Hi, I'm Astafichev. I'm working in a product company, and I have a question. What do you do to decrease the learn, measure cycle in your product, especially as this is the desktop tools domain? These tools are not updated that often, so what do you do to run innovations, like run tests, all of that?
I will tell you about two things we're using in the MacKeeper. First, the thing which increases the productivity like a lot is the fact that developers and products are sitting together. To get the fix, he doesn't need to put a ticket. You should say, hey man, there's a bug there. Or the customer says there is a bug there, and the developers will check this out, and that will be faster. So that is things which increase our performance like in 40% at least, and really works. About the innovation, that is a very interesting thing. In our alliance, in the MacKeeper actually, we're creating a culture which helps everyone in the team, starting at the designers, developers of all sorts, QAs, product managers, and other guys, sales departments, legals, to perform and to give the innovations they think they have. So sometimes some companies saying, give me your ideas, we'll do this. And in most cases that doesn't work. We created a thing called Innovation Club. So we give a topic. The guys who wish to participate, usually it's like from 20 to 50 people, goes into our conference hall, changes for the groups, and starts brainstorming. In the end of the day, like it's in a few hours, we have over 500 ideas what can be done with this new thing. Technology, some innovation would just appear or something. Some of them, which looks perfect for us, goes to my R&D team, and we're working on it. So go innovative.
Yeah, thanks.
More questions? Here.
My name is Rostislav. Who is responsible in your company for creating user stories and keep them live and updating? I mean, distribution of roles.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the question. Here in MacKeeper, we have a very strange thing for the market and for the IT company like at all. From the user stories, from the what customers should see, do, and walk, we create in a specific unicorns. So our product managers, they are UX designers, they are product managers, and they are marketing guys at the same time. And that is why, because of that reason, everything the customer might face is our job. That's it. Did I answer the question?
It's only your responsibility for, let's say, confirming the basic hypothesis and confirming the directions for development.
In the version of the product, in the way of the product, yeah, you're right.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have more questions?
Hey.
Hey.
My question is this. Sometimes there is a contradiction between the roadmap that we put ourselves once we finish managing the last feedback that we receive and the feedback that we receive right when the roadmap is already done. What would be the weight would you give? Because at the end of the day, as you said, and I agree, customers don't always know what has to be done. Actually, they never know what has to be done. They know what bothers them.
That's right.
That's the piece. But what would be the weight? Because on one aspect, you want to take your product. You have a vision, and you know also there is evolution of the market and competition, and you always want to stay ahead of the curve.
Mm-hmm.
And on the other hand, there is a certain mass of potential problem that someone might have. Which one you would prioritize? I'm guessing you're going to do both, but which weight you're going to give to each one of them?
You guessed absolutely right. We're doing both, because you should understand that you go into some direction and there is a plan. But sometimes the company or the product should have the resources and the possibility to do some like extreme fast measures to fix or do something. For that reason, in our case, we have a special team which deals with something which might pop up from nowhere. That's normal for the business. So for that reason, we're doing both, and both are doing successful actually.
Okay, we had one more question here.
Well, my question is quite connected to the previous one, but a little bit more specific. If I got it right, you're suggesting really listening carefully to every user and then really acting against that feedback. I mean, against implementing the feedback that you've got. But obviously, if you have a product with quite a lot of users, you'll get your backlog really blown. It will be really huge if you put everything you hear from users, every positive or negative feedback into that. Even more, you'll get lots of things that contradict each others.
Absolutely.
And here comes the question, how do then you really judge those things?
Okay.
And since still aiming to do what a particular user wants, how do you prioritize that?
Okay, I guess that's the final question. I will try to answer shortly. Other guys are coming, so the winter is coming. Yeah. So the answer is very easy. Once you're doing some sort of research and listening to your users, you got tons of feedbacks. You need to work with this feedback and realize what is good and what is not. That is absolutely okay. The thing is, first of all, maybe I was not very clear. When you get all those feedbacks, you sort it somehow. There is it creates a group of the feedbacks with a similar meaning. So the customer wish duplicates faster, cleans more. That can be said in 1,000 ways, and that is being said in 1,000 ways. So you're looking for the way how to do this. On the other hand, you get the negative feedback about the same thing, and you're looking at both groups and trying to combine them to understand if we try to do this, will it cover another one, the bad, the negative one, and trying to do those to do solution in specific way which covers the negative approach. About the prioritization, we're doing this in two ways. First, as I usually say, the customer is the king. So we know what the customer likes, we know the number of customers which like it, and we're doing this. Another one is you're a business, you should earn something. Try to calculate what's going to give you more money or more attention or more customer-friendly approach from your users and use that. Thank you. Thank you for having me here.
So last question, if you have? No? All right. Oh, we have one. So the last one. We started a bit later.
I found your presentation pretty interesting, and I believe the whole audience, including me, wants to dive deeper into the topic. So maybe you can recommend any resources, articles, books, whatever on the topic. Thanks.
To be honest, I'd say that is the most complicated question. The thing is, there are thousands of different researches about how you can use and act and interact with your customers. I read at least 40 books about that. And I watched like a few hundred hours of videos of that. And none of them are useful from my perspective. So if you're asking about some suggestions or something, you have a method to ask the customer. Start asking him first. You'll find the methods how you can act with it and interact with the customers more later. Because once you have the first feedbacks, you can get understanding that customer doesn't answer the emails. We should find another way and go another way. For instance, otherwise, actually, I'm always open for the some sort of assistance or consulting. So feel free to add me on LinkedIn. There is a link on the agenda website of the IT arena, and feel free to ask a question. I'll try my best to help you.